Susan is a young woman from Nigeria. A woman called Ivie promised her a job in Europe. Instead, they gave Susan a short skirt and high heels. They told her, "You'll get used to it." But Susan never get used to it. Susan was afraid to escape, afraid to be sent back to Nigeria, afraid they would hurt her mother. But she did escape, and she testified. In the end, the judge sentenced this woman, Ivie, and put her in prison. This is a story of exploitation. It's a story of courage, but it's not a story of justice. Men moved Susan to Europe. Men guarded Susan. Men threatened Susan. When Susan ran away, men beat her mother. Men used Susan's body. And the men all got away. I know that trafficking is as shocking to you as it is to me. That you too want justice for the victims, that you too are determined to end the trafficking of human beings. So I would like to thank Juan Fernando López Aguilar and María Soraya Rodríguez Ramos and European Parliament for putting this report on the table. We must help the Susans of this world and step up the fight against trafficking in human beings. It's obvious that we need to do more. Trafficking in human beings is one of the worst forms of organised crime, carried out by cross-border gangs that exploit people, their labour and their bodies. Member States must fully implement the Anti-Trafficking Directive, and the Commission will assess this very closely. And we will help Member States by boosting capacity of law enforcement and judicial bodies, also across borders, perhaps with a knowledge hub to share best practices and information. At the same time, the Anti-Trafficking Directive will have its 10th anniversary this year. We need to start looking if it needs updating. And a full-time anti-trafficking coordinator will be appointed. The traffickers treat human beings as tradable objects, as commodities. We must disrupt the economic logic behind this crime. We must cut demand by targeting users. 60% of trafficking is for sexual exploitation, and 92% of these victims are women, like Susan. Without users, there would be no trafficking. I will look at possibilities to criminalise the use of exploited services. We need to make it more difficult to exploit victims' labour. We should target high-risk sectors like agriculture, care service or construction. Better awareness and communication campaigns in these sectors could help identify victims. We need to look at all the EU agencies that can help to tackle this problem. We must cut the supply of victims by breaking the criminal model of trafficking. To do that, we must end the culture of impunity. Human traffickers now make nearly €30 billion every year worldwide. I want to target asset recovery more effectively. To catch criminals and secure convictions, we need to boost law enforcement cooperation. That is already a Commission priority. Interoperability of data systems, updating the PRUM system. Our recent proposal to boost Europol's mandate will help to fight all cross-border crime, including trafficking. And we are working on a police cooperation code. To counter trafficking specifically, we could increase data exchange on trafficking through Europol. We could improve coordination between Member States and agencies. We must harness technology against trafficking. Europol and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime are ringing the alarm bell. Traffickers are moving online. We need to improve digital capacities of law enforcement for online investigations to detect recruitment and trafficking of victims online and illegal money flows. We also need to work closer internationally. Working with friends and partners to fight smuggling is essential to our new pact on migration and asylum. Breaking criminal networks will also be part of our upcoming action plan against migrant smuggling. We should investigate if and how we can mobilise our foreign policy, security and trade instruments against trafficking. The traffickers aren't selling objects, they're exploiting human beings. We must protect the victims by supporting training of border guards, police, social workers and others to identify and save victims. Efforts by member states to help victims with funding and sharing best practices. Awareness raising on victims' rights. And by building partnerships, for example, with the Economic and Social Committee and Committee of the Regions. Throughout, we need to keep three things in mind. First, this is a European problem. 70% of the perpetrators are EU citizens. Half of the victims are EU citizens. 3/4 of trafficked children are EU citizens. This is a European problem. Second, this is a gendered crime. Nearly 3/4 of perpetrators are men. Nearly 3/4 of all victims are women and girls. Third, that the most vulnerable suffer most. Children, mostly girls, but many boys too, forced to beg and steal, but mostly forced into sexual exploitation. In migrants and refugees, traffickers prey on children and teenagers, on the road or in camps, especially unaccompanied minors, who are perhaps the most vulnerable of all. I look forward to work close together with you in the European Parliament to step up the fight against trafficking in human beings. Thank you.
Thank you very much.